On the night of March 18th, 2012, Conway the Machine was involved in a near-fatal shooting that would permanently change the trajectory of Griselda, forever paralyzing him.
They tried to take me out the game. It's nothing, no. 3 shots couldn't drop me. I took it a smile. You know what I mean? Got hit twice in the neck. Graves in the head.
Conway the Machine is one-third of the Buffalo, New York rap collective Griselda. The group started with him and his half-brother Westside Gunn and their younger cousin Benny the Butcher. Griselda is often credited for reviving 90s rap and doing so by emulating the likes of the Wu-Tang Clan, particularly Raekwon and NWA. The year was 2012, and Griselda was making the rounds as a group to put Buffalo on the map. We come from the bottom up in here in Buffalo. No one ever gave us the opportunity. Not even our local radio stations play our local music. The newspapers and local publications don't even talk about local up-and-coming artists. People don't even dream here. We just want to get it how we can, get it now. Everybody do. Everybody's frustrated with their own situation and their own ish they going through. So that's why my music comes off so aggressive, because I don't want to lose. I don't want this opportunity to slip. Nobody ever came from Buffalo, New York, musically, and made it. It's like Rick James, and that was 30-something years ago. People go through nothing. At the time, Conway was living in Atlanta, but made the trip to Buffalo to promote his upcoming mixtape, American Greed, pulling up to the local mom and pop stores in the area, and simply being outside interacting with people from his community. Nighttime came, and Conway went to a local club to promote his tape and party with some of his associates. Upon leaving the club, he went to go visit one of his friends. However, he was being followed. As soon as he pulled up outside his friend's house, someone pulled up and did a drive-by, loading off rounds into the car, hitting Conway in the neck, head, and torso, leaving half of his face paralyzed. As a result, he developed Bell's palsy, a common side effect of people who experience strokes, a condition that will stick with him for the rest of his life, which understandably made him feel useless and seriously had him contemplating quitting music. I thought I was going to be paralyzed from the neck down. According to the doctor, I was told I wasn't going to walk again, that I was going to be paralyzed from the neck down. That's the first thing I thought, and I was crying. I was like, F, I did all this effing work. There are all these people counting on me and depending on me, telling me I'm going to make it. I'm going to be the one to finally put the city on the map. And these niggas put me out. Man, it was frustrating and depressing. I cried a lot. But you know, I don't know how. God, man. That's all I can think of. For some reason, I was just blessed to get out that wheelchair. And here I am today. I immediately thought, it's over for me rapping again. I'll never rap again. After the shooting, Conway was at the brink of quitting music because his words were slurred and he rapped a lot slower than he was used to. And Westside Gunn held it down and started consistently rapping. Griselda Records was launched as an independent label in 2012. However, the history and the stories behind these rappers go decades back. Benny, Conway, and Westside Gunn were all from the east side of Buffalo. Now, Buffalo's in the 80s and 90s was a tough rural area with the high crime and zero land development. Other than Rick James, no known figures have emerged from the streets of Buffalo becoming successful. Growing up in that hostile environment, everyone was a hustler. Although rapping was the more legitimate route, it's a thin line between being a rapper and a broke rapper, and the money was slow and the street money was fast, and the streets eventually caught up with all three of them. In the year of 2000, when Benny was 18, he got arrested and sentenced to 2 years in jail, an experience that he feels made him feel like a man because he did Fed time and didn't tell. A truly sick mindset to have, however, it was extremely glorified and normalized in the streets, and almost was a badge of honor to go to jail, especially not telling. It wasn't until 2005 where Westside Gunn released Griselda's first ever piece of music, Flyest Nigga in Charge Volume 1, which was predominantly a solo mixtape with a few feature appearances, most importantly, Machine Gun Black. In the same year, Conway got out of jail, and a few others became linked and signed to Buff City Records, led by DJ Shay. Now, DJ Shay was a well-respected Buffalo DJ who was a staple in the small but dedicated movement in Buffalo, bridging the gap on New York City hip-hop. Despite Buffalo being in New York, the music originally got no love for the reason that they were 7 hours away from New York City and were considered an outcast of real hip-hop considering they weren't anywhere near or close to the 5 boroughs. After Conway linked up with Shay, he introduced Benny and Westside Gunn and every rising Griselda affiliate. During this time in the early 2006, all the members were still in the streets and getting money. However, Benny got locked up in Kentucky. While during the short prison stint, everything would change. Benny's oldest brother, Machine Gun Black, was murdered in the streets of Buffalo while he was in jail. Something that really broke down the whole Griselda crew, particularly Benny, who was in Kentucky over 1,000 miles away, serving his prison sentence. When Benny came out of jail, he was back on his BS, involved in the street activities, and even more focused, something referred to as a street addiction by many. Machine Gun Black was the oldest child, so with him being dead, Benny stepped up and held his family down in every way and took rapping serious. In 2012, Griselda began to slowly grow, and Kanye was on a short mixtape run and took a trip back home to Buffalo. After attending a club, he went to a friend's house and was hit in a drive-by shooting outside, leaving the left side of his face paralyzed, changing his speech pattern forever. Now, with such tragic incident happening, Kanye was discouraged in every aspect of life. He was physically hurt, and it was hard to mentally cope with accepting a lopsided facial experience that would be permanent. When it initially happened, I was in the hospital for a couple weeks, and then I got out. But see what I'm saying is, in the hood, for somebody that got shot in the head and the neck, that's fast. But you know how it is when your insurance is not that good, and you go to the hood hospitals and stuff. They need them beds and them rooms, so they're trying to get you up out of there. And they actually released me kind of too early, and I had to go back for another period of time. I had one surgery, and that was just get the bullet out of my neck. With Kanye temporary bedridden, Westside Gunn and Benny the Butcher had to carry the torch, and later that year Westside Gunn released Hitler Wears Hermes, a very controversial album for its reference to Adolf Hitler, the leader of the German Nazis responsible for the mass genocide of the European Jews. Now, despite the negative connotation, Gunn explained it was a simple play on words of The Devil Wears Prada. The controversial album sequence was a metaphor for the eccentric, grimy, luxurious style of music that he makes. The whole Hitler Wears Hermes, the title, man, was just, I just want to come with, some of the grimiest but flyest ish I come up with, because, that's basically my whole style, just the grimiest, flyest ish I could think of. So, everybody was already using that The Devil Wears Prada, and I'm just like, I want to flip that right there. That was something. I just want to come with somebody that as soon as you hear it, you'll be like, yo, that ish is crazy, but fly at the same time. That's how I really come up with it. Benny and Conway will continue to rap and encourage Conway to never give up because things will get better. In February 2014, Conway released his album, Physical Therapy, which had a way deeper meaning. Often in life, the best stories come from pain and suffering, then later triumph. The cover art for this album was an x-ray of his upper body with the bullet lodged in his throat. If the bullet was a few inches up, it would have been game over. This project was a stepping stone for Conway, allowing him to vent and speak his mind about the emotional and physical trauma he experienced. From him making out the grimy streets of Buffalo and making a name for himself, and sadly getting his rap career altered forever, it was heartbreaking. Many people underestimated the self-esteem issues that Conway faced, considering he suffered from Bell's palsy and he didn't want to be seen in public. In 2015, Conway released Reject 2. The cover art gave another look at his riddled up body and his journey towards recovery. A year later in 2016, Westside Gunn released Hitler Wears Hermes 4, and on the song The Cow, Conway would put his entire soul onto the beat, detailing his near-fatal murder. Remember that F nigga pulled up using his chrome, hit the back of my head and neck, I should have died, nigga. I feel like my nigga Duns kept me alive, nigga. Slap my face like, bruh, open your eyes, nigga. Shaking my head like, F that, you can't die, nigga. Only real shit what I provide, nigga. I wrote the shit with tears in my eyes, nigga. You know what's funny? I wanted to quit. After I got shot in my head, I see my face like, I'm done with this shit. Trying to spit my verses, mumbling and shit. Face twisted up, looking ugly and shit. That Bell's palsy had me looking like I had a stroke. But every bar raw like a slab of coke. And them same niggas that laugh and joke is doing bad and broke, and everything I drop is classic. The Cow easily became one of the most memorable songs in the Griselda catalog that received praise from everyone who knew his history. A tribulation turned triumph as Kanye was going through it. He often spoke on battling depression from this incident and often kicks himself in the head, wondering how his life would have been different if he never went to Buffalo that night. Conway was truly the backbone of Griselda, and everyone held each other down during their times of need. Great news would come for Griselda in the year of 2017, as they would land a partnership with Eminem's Shady Records. The deal would allow Griselda to retain creative control and their independence, as well as gain more exposure through Eminem, seeing that he was a staple in hip-hop through the late 90s and early 2000s. Now his co-sign went a very long way, considering the connections of Eminem allowed him to work with 50 Cent, Lloyd Banks, Prodigy, and be connected with Nas and Jay-Z. During 2018 and 2022, Griselda continued to progress and release consistent music. However, it wasn't until one project sent shockwaves through the entire pop community from Conway the Machine. Conway released the album God Doesn't Make Mistakes in 2022. This album came out 10 years after the shooting and provided a very direct source of honesty and vulnerability about how he's been coping with his life ever since the shooting on the song Stressed. The BS in my life, everybody go through that. But it's a lesson in all, you gotta grow through that. I was down bad and broke, but I wrote through that. For my problems go away if I could blow through rap. My cousin, he took a cord and put his throat through that. I wish I had a chance to tell a nigga, don't do that. Niggas don't understand, depression is real. People stressing about real life shit, you stressing your bills. And not too long after my cousin hung himself, I never told nobody, but I lost a son myself. Imagine being in the hospital holding your dead baby, and he looked just like you, trying to keep you from going crazy. This song was a musical masterpiece and received as musical therapy. Like they always say, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldier. In hip-hop, everyone loves the underdog story. Someone who was counted out because of where they were from, counted out because of the lack of opportunities, and most importantly, counted out because odds were against them. All of our favorite hip-hop stories come from pain. 50 Cent being shot 9 times and nearly being left for dead, and going on to launch one of the biggest hip-hop albums, top 5 albums ever. Griselda as a whole has blossomed through the years into something truly empowering. They told the stories for decades about growing up in out-of-town industrialized areas and how they made it out, even going as far to give back to their community any chance they get. In 2021, Westside Gunn created a retail store, Buffalo Kids, in the Walden Galleria Mall. Now, Buffalo has always been a flower area and a shopping area if you grew up in Canada because nothing really goes on in that town. Buffalo Kids was a retail and hypebeast apparel store that allowed people to come and buy custom Griselda apparel and connect with the artist. Griselda broke the stigma of being too old to rap. Their unapologetic storytelling was a reference of the golden age of hip-hop. Although the journey for everyone was hectic and involved them being battle tested on multiple occasions, it showed that Benny the Butcher, Westside Gunn, and especially Conway the Machine, after dealing with what he dealt with, were a testament of dedication.